Hello, my name is Paul Chefalou, and I am the author of AppCreator Pro. AppCreator Pro is an iPhone application that will allow anyone to create full-featured iPhone applications without any knowledge of iOS or Objective-C, and you don't even need a Mac computer or a PC computer. Everything is performed right on the iPhone. All the editors are there and everything you need. AppCreator Pro will make the iPhone an extension of your imagination. So, let's see. Today's tutorial is an application that we're going to put together that will take advantage of the if-then statements, which are conditional statements, where you make a decision if this is this value, you do one thing. If it's another value, you do something else. And we're also going to tie that into the changing of the color of the screen based on a particular selection. It'll also have tap and single tap capability. And we will also do checking of values to make sure that valid values have been entered. So what we're going to do is that we're going to have three colors: red, green, and blue. And red would be assigned to number 1, green would be assigned number 2, blue would be assigned number 3. So when we enter 1 and we tap the screen will turn from white to red. We double tap it, it'll return back to white. If we enter a 2 and we tap the screen, it will turn green. And when we double tap it, it'll return back to white. And when we enter 3, it will turn blue on a tap, and on a double tap, it will return back to white. And if we enter in the wrong value, it will tell us that it's an invalid value. So that's what we're going to do today, and we're going to use a utility app to do that. So let's get started. We'll execute AppCreator Pro. We'll go to Create Edit Projects. We're going to use the utility application project. We're going to create it as new. Okay, and so here we have the project. So first thing we need to do is give the project a name. So we'll go to Project Info, and we'll call this project. Let's clear it. And you'll notice that there's no keyboard. Well, since this is the simulator, I'm taking advantage of a feature that allows me to use the mouse to click it, or the keyboard. So I'm going to use the keyboard when we're doing the description to expedite things a little faster. So right now we'll call this app Select RGB Color. Okay, so it's Select RGB Color. And we'll say Done. And so as you can see, there is the title. And let's give it an icon that's a little bit more appropriate to it. There's an icon here, I believe, that would be appropriate for this. Here we go. We'll use the painter icon. Right, we'll say Done. So now we have our icon. And the next thing we should do is give it a description so we know what this application does. So right now, you'll see that the description is the basic template. All right, and so let's change the description. All right, I'm going to clear it, and I'm going to switch now to the keyboard just to expedite it, the description a little faster. So this application uses the if then condition statement to select either red, green, or blue as the screen color. All right, so we'll also do, we should come up here and we should say this utility application, so that way at least we know what type it is. All right, and okay, so we have, all right, this utility application uses the if-then condition statement to select either red, green, or blue as the screen color. All right, that's our description. We'll activate the keyboard again so we have it for other things, and we'll say done. So now we're set with the description of the application. We have an icon, we've given it a name. Everything else we can leave the same. And so we've defined that part about our project. So now we need to go to the displays. You notice there the number 2 here for 2 displays because the utility application has 2 forms. And the first form is the main form. That's the one that will activate with the tap and change color. And then there's the settings form that will have the information. So let's go to the settings. Let's go to the main app here. Let's go to the settings app first. All right. And now what we want to do is we need to go to the, all right, so we need to add some widgets so that we can put information on the form. So what we'll do is we'll say form widgets. Okay, and right now we have none. So we'll need to add from the AppCreator library some form widgets. So what we'll need is we'll need a text box so that we can enter in the text, and we'll need a label for that text box that essentially says color that you're selecting. All right, so let's just do these 2 right now, and then we'll come back and do the rest of the labels and stuff. So we have 2, and what we'll do is that we'll go to the text box first, and we'll select the text box, and we'll go to the widget attributes of the text box, and we'll give it a name so that we know what it is. All right, and the name will be color. All right, one moment. Color. Okay, O-L-O-R, color input. Okay, so that way we know it's the text box. All right, so let's go to that widget. All right, so now we have color input as the text box. And we could use this generic text, or we can put something in here that seems to make sense that you have the selection, but this will be fine for now. So we'll look at, there's a description, and we should put a description in. Okay, we'll clear that. And let's get the keyboard activated. And this widget will hold the color ID, will hold the color ID selected. Okay, this widget will hold the color ID selected. All right, we'll say done. Okay, and so we have that. The tag we're not using, so we don't have to worry about that. The background color of this is right now it's white, which is fine. The text is black, that's fine. And there is no caption, no default caption that we want right now. We'll put that in there. And we should set up a width. Now, in this case, the width is 290, but we don't need 290 because that will pretty much cover the full length of the display. So let's change that to 100. Okay. No, I think we could do 75. All right. So we'll change it to 75. We'll say done. Okay. So now we'll. Is there anything else we need? No, there is no initial value, so we're set there. We want it enabled. It is visible. The default values are fine. There's no image placeholder, so we've answered everything we need. And so what we'll do is we'll go back, and now we'll want to see where that display, where that widget shows up on the display. So we'll view it. Now you'll notice there's the label, and underneath it is the input box. So in this case, what happens is that as you select the controls, they're all put in the same place because they're initialized with the same value as far as the XY location. So you'll have them one on top of the other, and you might not be able to see your control there. So the easiest way to get your control is to tap anywhere on the screen and hold it, and tap on the screen and then press down and hold the mouse, and then just move the mouse and the control will come to you. And you can put this anywhere you want. So we'll put this one, say, about here. All right? And then, so now we're happy with that. So we'll say done. We'll say save. And now we save the value. And now what we'll do is we'll go to the label. We'll go to the label, and we'll change that label to color. We'll say color label. Okay, we'll say done. All right, so let's go to the color label. And now we'll need to put the description. And so we know what that is if we need to check it out. And this is the label for the color text box. All right, so now we'll say done. And we have our description, and now we have to give it a value. So you'll notice that the default name is label, and we want to call that color. Okay, and then we'll say done. And now we have the color, and you'll notice that you'll want to, the width is 60. You want to make it at least the same as the text box. Okay, we'll say done. All right, so we did it with the label. Now you notice that the color here is taupe. Okay, and you're going to see that this becomes an issue with the watermark that's on the form. So let's display, and we'll see where it is. You'll see here's the label color. So if right now we see the color, so we could take it and move it. But in this case, if we're not there, we push and click, and it'll come to us. All right. So you notice that because it's taupe, you see that it's covering the image of the watermark. We don't want that. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll say done. All right. We don't care for the location. We'll come here to background color, and we'll change it to clear. All right. The default value is fine. We'll say done. So now the background is clear. So now what we'll do is we'll display it again, and you'll see that here it is the color, but you notice that now when I bring it over the image, it doesn't cover it. Okay? So we'll put that here. All right, so that's the color. And now we have that. We say done. We say save. Okay? So now we just defined those labels. All right? And what we want to do now is that we want to create 3 more labels. And these 3 labels will show the description that says 1 is red, 2 is green, and 3 is blue. Okay, so we'll add 2 more labels. All right, so we have a label. Okay, we'll add another label. All right, and we'll add another label. That'll be the 3 labels. Did I select the label? No, I did not. Let's try this again. All right, AppCreator. We want to select the label. There you go. And we say done. Okay, so now we have the labels. And let's go and change these labels. So we'll go to the first one, which is Control 3. We'll change this to red label. Okay, as a name, so we'll know what it is when we see it in the list. All right, so we have the red label. And now we want to go to the text. The default description is fine in this case. We want to go to the text, and we notice that we have the opaque, so we know we need to make that clear because we'll have the same issues as described before. And now we're going to change this to 1 red. 2 spaces, and we'll say red. Okay, we'll say done. And now we have red, and we'll display that, and we'll see where it shows up. Okay, why did it not change? Let's find out why it did not change. We put red. All right, let's see why it did not change. Oh, all right, remember I said there's an issue with, see? The labels were on top of each other. So the reason why it really did change, but we didn't see it because it was covered by the other labels. All right, so you see now this says clear and it passes. So we'll put this here. All right, like that. And then we'll say done. We'll say save. Okay, and now we'll go to the next label. We'll give the label the name green label. All right, we'll say done. So we have green label. And now we want to change the background to clear. We'll say done. We need to change this to 2 green. And then we'll say done. And then we'll go to display. We'll touch the screen and it should come to us, and it does. Now you notice you see the 3 dots? That means that we have to make the text wider. So let's put it over here for now. Okay, let's say done. Let's say save, and then we'll come here and we'll change this to 75. All right, so now when we go and look at it, you'll see now you can see the green. All right, and okay, so we'll say done. And let's get to the last one, which is the the blue, we'll give it the name blue label. We'll say done. All right, so we'll have the blue label, and we need to give it the color background of clear. Okay, done. And we need to change it to 3 is blue, so we'll say done. And let's change this to 75 as well. Okay, that's done. So let's go and display it. And here it is up top. And we'll just bring it to us. And we'll put it here. We'll align it here. Okay, so now you'll see that we have red, green, blue. And here's the color. Now, we also said that if there's an invalid value, that we will display that it's an invalid value. So let's say done, let's say save. Okay, let's do back to here, and we have to add another label. And that label, we'll grab that label, and we'll select it here. We'll say done. Okay, and this label is the error label. Okay, so we'll call this the error label. All right, we'll say done, and we'll go to the error label, and we'll go to the on the description of this one, we should say something. So this is the error display message. Okay, so we'll say done. And in this case, you'll notice that we're going to have to change it to invisible, but we don't want to do that now. We want to come here. We need to change this to clear because we know we have the same issue with everything else. Okay, and we're going to put in here the message invalid value. Okay, and we're going to say done. We're going to change this to, let's try, I think this should be, let's try 100. Okay, and now we want to change the color. So we'll want to use this cancel button color. All right, we'll say done. So now the message is that color. And we'll go to display, and you'll see that the message is up here. We'll take the message, we'll bring it down, and we'll put it right next to here like this. All right, so now that we moved it, we'll say that, we'll say save. We'll now make it invisible, okay? And you'll see that if we go and display it again, it's not seen. All right, which means it's invisible. Okay, so now we've set up the display, and let's go and set up the when you're looking at the values. So in this case, with the input box, if I enter in a 1 or a 2 or a 3, it should not show the invalid. But if I enter in anything that's less than 1 and it's not, and it's greater than 3, then it should say invalid. All right. So we need to go to the color input text box. We'll want to go to the widget events. Okay. And the text box has several different events. It has enter text box, leave text box, done entry, change text, and cancel entry. So when you select the text box, this event will run. And you might want to do some initialization or checking or something like that. When you leave the text box, by pressing another text box or tapping the screen or anything else, the leave text box will occur. And this is where you may want to check some values or update something or whatever. The done entry is when you hit return. And the change text box is when any value in the text box changes, this event will fire. And if the person presses cancel, let's go back. And if a person presses, if a person presses cancel, then this event will execute. So that would be like an escape or anything like that. All right. So in our case, since we only have one value, 1, 2, or 3, we want to use change text box. That's the easiest way to do it for our case. So now we'll want to say add. And we don't want an assignment statement. We want an if-then condition statement. Okay. But because we want to check to see if it's 1, 2, or 3. Now, we have to initialize, if there's already the invalid on the screen, then you want to clear it, and then you want to do your condition checks. So we want to do an assignment statement first. And the assignment statement will say set. And what we're setting is a widget attribute. And that widget attribute is on a form. And it's on the settings form. And it is the error label. And we want the visible attribute. Okay. So now we need to set that value. So because we're setting it to a value of true or false, these are constant values. So we want constant because we're not getting it from a widget, we're not getting it from a view, we're not getting it from a form, and we're not getting it from a variable. So we'll select constant, and in this case we want false because we want it to be invisible. Okay, so that's done. Save. All right, and now we have our first statement. This will clear the label. Now we have to add another statement. This is where we'll do the if-then condition. An if-then condition has two parts. It has a condition statement, and then it has an action to be performed if that condition is found to be true. So in this case, it would be the logic. So we'll do the logic first. That will give us the selection buttons at the bottom to perform logic operations. So we want to do the left side of the logic expression first. And this would be the widget attribute, because that's the one we're checking. We're checking to see what the attribute is of the text box, because we want the value. It's on a form. It's in the settings. It's the color input. And we want the text value. All right? And now this says equals. Well, the easiest way to do this is we really want to use the Boolean. So now we have to set the Boolean operation, but we don't want to use equals. We'll go to the Boolean operation and we'll see it says equal to, not equal to, greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. In this case, we'll do less than or equal to. All right? So that means that if the value is less than 1, this will be true. If the value is equal to 1, this will be true. But we want 1 as a regular value. So in this case, we'll say 0 because it's less than 1. So if it's less than 1 or equal to 0, then it's an invalid value. All right, so let's select this. And now we'll do the right side of the equation. Okay, and we're checking it against the constant value of either particular number 1, 2, or 3. So in this case, the value we want to do is 0. Okay, and then we'll say done. So now if the text attribute is less than or equal to 0, we need to do an action. All right, so we've concluded the logic. Now we need to do the action. Okay, what is the action? The action is an assignment statement. We're not going to execute a function, and we're not going to do a return command. We're going to execute an assignment statement. All right, and now we down at the bottom and we see the assignment statement. So we want to set the assignment statement to a widget attribute, which is our error label, and that's located on the form, on the settings form, and that would be the error label. And we want to say visible as the attribute. Now, on the other side of these assignment statement, we're going to do a constant value, and that constant value is going to be true. So what that does is that if this condition is true, then it'll display the message saying that it's an invalid value. Okay? So we're done with that. We're done with the conditional statement. And here you'll see the conditional statement. It tells you what it is, and if it's true, it'll do this operation. Okay? So now we have to do if it's greater than 3. So we'll add another one, an if-then condition. Okay, we'll select logic. On the left-hand side, we're going to check a widget on a form. It's in the settings form. The widget is the color input, and we're going to be looking at the text. And the Boolean operation in this case is greater than or equal to. And then we're going to do the right side of the Boolean, which will be compared to a constant value. And that constant value in this case is going to be 4. Right? So now we've done the logic operation, so now we need to do the action. So we'll go to the action, and the action again is an assignment statement. And that's going to display the invalid value label if this condition is true. So we need the widget attribute. It's located on a form. The settings form is where it's located. And we want the error label. And then we want the visible of the error label. And now we need to do the other side of the assignment statement, which is a constant value, true or false. And we want true. All right, and then we'll say done. And we're done with the conditional statement. We say save. And now here are our statements, as you can see in the code. All right, so we could test this out. Let's say done. All right, we'll leave the function. Okay, we'll go back. We'll go back again, one more time, and now we're at play. So we'll play this. You'll see it's our utility app. We'll say setup. Now when we come back here in the setup, we'll see that there's 1, 2, or 3, the colors. So if we select 1, if we do this, you'll see that, let's enable the keyboard. Okay, so there's the keyboard. So in our case, we're going to select 1. Okay, and I do return. No, not return. Sorry. We say There we go. Okay, so we'll say done. All right. And so it's 1. You notice there is no label there. Okay, so let's do this again. And this time we're going to change it to, we'll make it 0. All right, and we'll say done. And you notice that invalid shows up. Okay? And we'll check the other extreme, which will be, let's say 5. And I say done. And you'll see it says invalid value. Okay? All right. So we're done here. And now we have to do the logic on the form. All right, so let's exit this. All right, so now we have to do the logic on the main form that changes color accordingly. So we'll come to the attributes. All right, and what we'll do is we essentially need to change the color of the form first. All right, so we need to change the color. Went too far. Background color. Here we go. All right, so we need to change the background color to white. Okay. We'll say done, so the background color is white. All right, and now when the form loads, it will be the color white. So if we display the form, you'll see that it's white. All right, okay. Now, what we need to do now is we need to set up the form events tap and double tap. So on single tap, we want to change the color of the form. So we'll add, we'll say this is an assignment because we want to change the value on a single tap. Excuse me. We want to exit here. What we want to do is we want to add a condition check. All right. And the condition check, same idea, the logic. So we'll have to check the logic, and we need the left-hand side of the logic command, and we're checking the widget, and the widget is the form, and it's the settings form is where the widget is that we're looking for. It's the color input widget, and we're looking at the text value. In this case, we want to do equals. So we're fine with equals, so we don't have to do the Boolean. And now we want to change it to a constant value. In this case, it's 1. Okay, so in this case, it's 1. And now what we need to do is we need to do the action. And the action in this case is we need to change, it's an assignment statement. And so we need to change the form attribute. It's a form attribute we need to change. And it's on the main form, and it's the color. And now on the other side of the assignment statement, it's a constant value because we're going to select what color we want it to. And we said that it will turn to red. So we'll select red, and there you go. And then we say done. And now we're done with this part here. We say save. Okay, so now we have the first statement. And now we have to check for when the number is 2, so we do green. So we have to add another if condition. All right, so we'll go to the logic. We'll do the left-hand side. We're checking a widget. The widget's on the form. It's on the settings form. It's the color input, and it's the text. All right, we're happy with equals. Now we need to do the right-hand side, and it's a constant value, and that value is 2. All right, so we'll say equal. So now it's 2, and that's the condition. We'll say done, and now we'll do the action. The action is an assignment statement. Again, it's the form color. So we'll want the form attribute, the main form, the color. On the other side of the assignment statement, it's a constant value. And we want to make this green. Okay, so it's green. We're done. We're done with the operation. We do save. So now we have our 2 equal signs, our 2 conditional checks. So we need a third conditional check to check for the blue. So it's if condition, same idea, we're doing the logic. All right, we're doing the left-hand side. It's a widget on a form. In the settings form, it's the color input. We want the text as the attribute. The Boolean is equal to, so that's fine by default. We want the right-hand side as a constant value, and that will be 3. All right, we'll say done. And now we're done with that, and we're going to do the action. And the action is an assignment statement. And we do the left-hand side of the assignment statement, which is a form attribute. It's the main form. We want the color change, so we have the color. Now we have to do the right-hand side of the assignment statement, so that's going to be a constant value. And we want that to be blue. Okay? So now we're done with that. We're done with that. And we say save. Okay? So now you'll notice here are the 3 options. Now, in the event that somebody puts in an invalid value and just continues and tries to do it, nothing will happen because it won't meet any of these conditions. And it'll fall through and the screen will stay white. All right, so we say done for single tap. We leave the function. All right, and now we want double tap. Double tap, we're going to add an assignment statement because we know it's just going to return it back to white. So we do the set. It's a form attribute. It's the main form. We want to change the color. Now we have the other side of the assignment statement is a constant value, and that would be white. All right, so we're done with that. We say save. Okay, and then we're done here, and we say leave the function. And now we'll head back to the program, and we'll hit play. All right, and you notice the screen is white. So right now, if I tap it, it doesn't change any color because there is an invalid value in the input field. So we'll go to setup, and now we'll try the first one. We'll put in a 1. Okay, so we have a 1, and we'll say done. So now we put a 1, we'll say done. And now if we single tap, turns red, double tap, turns white. Okay, we'll do that again for 2. Done. We'll say done and single tap, and it turns, I'm sorry, green. 2 for green. And then we'll say setup. All right, and we'll do 3 for blue. Okay, we'll say done. We'll say done. And all right, so we'll double tap, that'll bring it back to white. And we'll single tap, and that makes it blue. Double tap brings it back to white. All right, and there you have it. And if we put an invalid value in here, okay, like say 4, and we say done, it'll tell you it's an invalid value. If I said done and came here and clicked, nothing happens. Okay, so we know our logic is working. And there you have it. This is a substantial program, and it gives you an idea of how you can put selections and choices and entries and have all sorts of calculations and change screen colors and labels and things like that. And it was relatively easy. You didn't have to know anything about Objective-C, didn't have to know anything about iOS, and you didn't have to know anything about programming. You didn't need a PC, and you don't need a Mac. Okay? AppCreator Pro. It makes your iPhone an extension of your imagination. Thank you, and we'll see you on the next tutorial.